Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda.
All right, good evening, Australia. Good afternoon, Australia, and good late afternoon, New Zealand. 2 o'clock over there, I take it. And Cazz is in the studio also, guys. She's going to come in. But guys, what's brought this show along? I was talking to Vinnie the other day because we haven't been in contact for a little while. And anyway, we were thinking about doing a show, and then we've had a interview that Vinnie done. I don't know when, he'll tell us if he can remember, but when it was on Australia and New Zealand sovereignty, guys. Also Canada comes into that, and also the UK. But more to the point, Australia and New Zealand, because our friends across the ditch there, where we've had a heap of them come out here and live in Bondi, and we paid their wages and given them a good time, and they've drunk plenty of our beer. And so, we're pretty close with these. I was anyway, growing up with these New Zealanders across the ditch, guys. Have always been part of our family. So we thought I thought I'd ring Vinnie this morning and just chat about what's going on over there, because we're going to go into a couple of things. We're not going to give too much away on today's show, guys, but that Rumble clip that's surfaced from Wayne Levick is got some interesting facts in it. So again, we know that we put all this to the courts and the courts don't care, but we just wanted to readdress and right. How come I went on mute?
I didn't mute you.
What happened there? Wow. Have you heard all that? Vinnie, come in, and Cazz, come in.
Cazz.
Did you hear
Yeah, I
that?
don't know. They just muted you. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anyway, g'day, Vinnie. How you going? Welcome to Australia. Beautiful day over here, mate. Don't know what you got across the ditch there, but a glorious day in the another land of the cabal, mate. But how are you?
Well, I'm broadcasting from the archipelago over here, the South Pacific Gulag archipelago, known as New Zealand, the elected communist dictatorship. I love the red blue thing. It's just purple at the end of the day, They just combined the same thing, you know, like if you're watching a rugby game and maybe more like American football, you know how one guy holds the ball for the place kicker and then the place kicker comes in and kicks it, you know? It's like that, except the two are wearing two different coloured uniforms. One of them's setting it up and the other one's kicking it off. And then after they've kicked it off, they set it up for the next guy. You know, people don't see this cycle because people have got an attention span, I think. What was it, the new stat? It was about 6 seconds, I think. You know, real pure concentration for 6 seconds. So how exactly are you going to figure out that all the political parties are doing the exact same thing and working for the exact same people if you can't remember what happened 6 seconds ago, let alone an election cycle ago, let alone 3, let alone 20?
Well, you make very good points there, and exactly right, mate. We have a bunch of, like, for argument's sake, you've done an interview with this John Levick, you know what I mean?
Wayne Levick,
sorry, yeah. And anyway, I went hunting for him this morning, Vinny, after I got off the phone for you, and there's another professor with the same name at Newcastle. And when I rang him up and got onto him at Newcastle University, I said, "Oh, g'day, mate, it's Dave Graham. You know, I'm just ringing Wayne Levick." Yes. And then he sort of went quiet because he must get a few of these phone calls, you know. And anyway, he says to me, I says, "Look, I'm looking for a Wayne Levick that, you know, done an interview with Vinnie Eastwood over in New Zealand. Would you be the man?" "No, that guy's a bloody nutter," he said. And I went, "Oh, okay, he's a nutter." I said, "So could you tell me a few aspects on why you think he's a nutter? You know, what gives you that idea?" "I don't like to have these conversations. Thank you very much. Goodbye." And that was it. You know what I mean? So he was a professor at the Newcastle University. But, yeah, obviously just doesn't want to entertain anything of the ideas that we may have. Now, these aren't just ideas, Vinny. These are factual things. You know, we've got to, like, the ATO can't come out and actually declare that it's got authority. You know, we've got all these things going on. So,
well, what's problematic is that ideas have their own danger to them, especially for people who stand to lose something. And as the old saying goes, that it's impossible for a man to understand something if his income depends on him not understanding it, right? And so I think to a large degree, what happens to you when you find out that everything you've ever been told by school, the media, or Hollywood is basically just a big mind control program designed to turn you into a piece of meat, cattle, ready for harvest? You know, what do you value after that? It's usually not your job. It's usually not money. It's usually something with a lot more value, like truth and freedom.
Vinny, you know, I have never heard of this. When I stumbled across, actually, I think it was posted by the White Rabbit. Kudos to you. And I almost just went past it, and then I went back to it, and I have absolutely no idea why, because I get inundated with stuff. Anyway, so I just put it on. And my mind was blown because I've got Dick Yardley's book about the constitutional corruption and things like that. But this particular thing about Australia being a colony with no standing, I had never heard before. And so I'll just play you a little. Let's just play a little bit of what he actually says during this.
One other thing, assuming I'm wrong, assuming that.
Oh, hang on, I've got it queued at the wrong one.
Is valid. We have proof on that Westminster listeners are interested. They'll have to do their own research.
Lots of beautiful photography of the old Australia in here, guys. All right, Tartaria stuff still hanging around.
Westminster, the British Parliament passed into law the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. That act defines the Commonwealth of Australia as a self-governing colony of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. Already there's a problem. There hasn't been a United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland since about 1922. It's now the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So the Queen that's mentioned, or the King that's mentioned in Australia's Constitution as sovereign of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland hasn't existed since 1922. That also applies to Canada and New Zealand. So That's a big problem. Second problem, Australia, New Zealand, Canada are defined as colonies of the United Kingdom. If that's the case, and if these Constitution Acts are still valid, how can these countries be members of the General Assembly of the United Nations and have any of the treaties that they've signed, are they now up for grabs because they've been signed by countries that are defined in their constitutions, which is the first document at the top of the pyramid, the first legal document that defines everything else. Those constitutions define those countries as colonies, and colonies cannot be represented in the General Assembly of the United Nations. This may sound all very esoteric, but it's not. The Japanese government has this information. Currently, the Australian government has a case in the International Court of Justice against the Japanese for whaling in Australian Antarctic waters. And the Japanese suddenly have this information and intend to use it to prevent that court case going anywhere, because Australia doesn't have standing. You have to be a nation to take a case in the International Court of Justice, and our Constitution defines us as a colony. I'll give you another example. Just from history, you get unanimous votes. Everybody in your electorate votes you in. And you present an act, a bill of law to the New Zealand Parliament. Let's call it the ABC Act. And everybody in Parliament is so taken aback and amazed by what you've done that it gets a unanimous vote all through the Parliament. That bill of law cannot become an act of law until it gets the royal signature, the signature of Queen Elizabeth II, who herself, in fact, is appointed by the British Parliament at Westminster. But her signature is given by her vice-regal representative, which is a Governor-General. Now, that Governor-General may have been chosen by the New Zealand Prime Minister or the New Zealand Parliament, but nonetheless they're appointed by a queen, a foreign queen halfway around the world, who herself has been appointed by a foreign parliament, the Westminster Parliament. So
we'll just leave it there for the moment and talk about that before I go to the next thing that we queued.
So, Cazz, can I get something out first? Because you come up with a great suggestion of what you're doing. I would like everyone to grab that Rumble link, get it onto Twitter, and tag Elon Musk. All right, because Australia's going at Elon. Me and Cazz were talking about this pre-show. So Australia and Elon are in the news. All right, so let's give Elon this information, guys. Everyone tag him, okay? Hashtag Elon Musk, all right, and get this clip over to him, because he may be able to stand up against the Australian people with this and go, well, you haven't got a case to stand. You answer this first. So let's cause them some problems, guys. So sorry, Cazz, go on. I thought that was a great suggestion.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I've actually tagged Elon, but if anyone wants to go and tag him as well with the show, that'd be awesome. But so
tag this show.
We have no standing. Like, why is it I did not know about this? I've been following this situation for years.
Oh, this interview's nearly 14 years old. So we were talking about this way back in the day. So the reason why you have a Governor-General is because the Governor-General has certain powers that are dictated to them through the Crown to the colony countries like Canada, Australia and New Zealand. Now, these powers include the ability to dissolve Parliament, and I believe the Canadian Parliament was dissolved. What was that? It was 99 or was it 2016? I can't remember specifically, but in very recent history, Canada's Parliament was about to vote in some legislation that would have threatened, I think, the existence of a New World Order to some degree, and so that Parliament was actually dissolved by the Canadian Governor-General. The Governor-General of Australia and New Zealand have the same powers to dissolve our Parliament if they do anything our overlords don't like. The Queen also holds certain powers at the time, of course, of this interview. Now the King, they have the ability to surveil all parliamentarians. Okay, anybody who gets elected is put under total surveillance and has an enormous background check. We found this out when New Zealand politician Keith Locke for the Green Party was found out that SIS had document that State Intelligence Services, our NSA, having been tracking his activities since he was 6 years old or something when his mother took him to a communist film. So, yeah. there's a great degree of control that the intelligence services who are working for the Crown, which isn't necessarily what you'd think of as the person actually wearing the crown. It's a corporation. They're working for the company, as the people in the CIA call themselves. And this company manages live stock. That's why everybody's got birth certificates with a stock receipt, because you are actually a herd animal and you need to be registered in the stock exchange. And the word vaca, as in vaccine, means cow. And that's why they call it herd immunity, all right? Or immunity, as it were. Now, this whole concept here means that basically you're living under a criminal fascist dictatorship of some description. You might call, the technical term would be a corporatocracy. And
corporate plutocracy.
Yeah, more or less. So all these people that are supposedly elected and things like that, even people like Senator Malcolm Roberts, are completely disabled from having the ability to change anything for real from the inside, because they're all in a cage that has 100-ton weight hovering above it, and if ever so they do get all uppity, down comes the portcullis.
Well, these guys have got to step up to the mark. Anyway, go, Cazz, and then I do.
Well, we've got, I'll cue it in a minute as well, that interview in a minute too, where he says that about the fraud, the forged signatures. But we've actually had people looking for their oaths of office as well, for, people that are in the that are magistrates. They've been unable to find any oaths of office. But we've also got a problem. They're really coming at the moment. The problem with Australia is at the moment, we've got too many damn Karens. Because we've got Commissioner Karen from the Ministry of Truth. No, the police should be the sole source of information. We've got the Mins Karen, running around. We've got the Albo Karen, prepared to do whatever it takes. You're prepared to do whatever is necessary in order to, you've got your e-safety Karen, and she's basically really minimise the content that Australians need to see.
I hate Elon.
Hang on, yeah, that's right. And then you got your McLaren Karen, who wants to do something about the knives, and now you've got your Dutton Karen weighing in about the bipartisan support. Bipartisan support. Fair dinkum, we just got turned. And I apologise to every Karen out there, okay? But it was just a figure of speech.
And we got Karenology machines getting put out everywhere. Cardio machines, Karenology machines. They're getting put out everywhere around here, Vinnie, because the people just can't deal with it. We're not a real country, and they're having heart attacks everywhere. We worked out what it was. Everyone's waking up,
Well, let's hope so. And I think what's happening is that there's a lot of anxiety out there about this situation, right? Because there's not only the people who are responsible for the crime that maybe have a bit of anxiety about, being brought to justice by an angry mob with pitchforks and torches. And then, of course, there's the anxiety of the people who are only realizing for the first time in their lives and haven't studied it for 10,000 hours yet, that not all is as it seems, and that government cannot be trusted ever, and that runs their entire life. All right? Now, if you excuse me 1 second, I've forgotten to turn on one studio light, and I'm going to just go do that. 1 moment, please.
No, you're right. While I'm doing that, I'm going to bring this in. Now, this is from Milk Bar TV. I think it's Milk Bar TV. We play this stuff often anyway. They do awesome clips. And this is his wife's account on LinkedIn. And the e-safety commissioner has been doing a search on his wife's account. Can you believe that? Because he's been critical. They've
been into my Lindigan account. They're doing a run on Lindigan at the moment is what we're seeing, guys, because I had someone in Germany I was talking to the other day. When I was, talking to some people, and she'd also been, her Lindigan profile had been checked out by supposedly someone in the Australian government here. Okay, so they're on the Lindican accounts. I don't know why they've gone Lindican, but that's interesting. But they're onto everyone's account at the moment. Lindican, you can tell who's looking at you, and certainly everyone's checking us all out, guys.
There was a peeping Tom we called the Linnigan. They looked at you, then looked in again.
Yeah. Well, you can see why you can see, like, especially, like, I don't know, I've got a few little clips here from Australia, but you can actually see, like, these people, they are in full on mode at the moment.
Should not be seen online?
No, I am not. The First Amendment does not apply in Australia.
Well, we have a range of graduated powers. There could be civil proceedings, and we could take them to court, or we could fine them. Of course, the quantum of the fine would depend on the gravity of the noncompliance, but we can use graduated tools like linked deletion notices.
Gravity of the non-compliance on a government that has actually got no standing. It's just crazy. This is
When
crazy.
you look at it like that, yeah, you did right. Yeah.
They've got no standing.
No.
They've got no standing.
This is not true. They've got all the standing they need. They needed blind, obedient automatons who can't even spell the word subtle, and then they can just get them to do whatever they want, because their entire food supply and culture is centered around things that disable the liver, and the mostly the first sign that you've got liver damage is apathy. And what can you do to an apathetic population? Anything you want. Almost everything we eat, everything we drink, everything we smoke, everything we do to have a good time that's socially acceptable and part of our culture, all causes stress on the liver. And you wonder, when you're walking around, why doesn't anybody give a fuck? They can't. They're physically disabled from being able to actually care.
Sad, isn't it?
It is. It's sad, and the assaults don't stop there. But, like, I mean, look, this is our Prime Minister as well at the moment, like, going after the censorship, you know.
Including social media companies have a responsibility to act. It shouldn't
Pretty
need
quiet,
the
that one.
E-Safety Commission.
Yeah, I'll pull that out. Look, but it's just absolutely mind-boggling that you've got a country that's not even a nation, a colony, with these phony laws. They're obviously phony if they've got no standing. And now here we are, and they reckon that they're swaggering around, throwing their weight around, telling Elon what to do. It's just like, you got to be kidding. You guys are a corporation. He's a corporation. Go to war. Go to war. Let's see what happens.
See, I can't even believe that that's the Australian Prime Minister now. I thought it was a muppet made of a boiled egg and a wig and glasses.
It could well be, Vinny. Don't you worry. The Australian public would be fooled by that. We wouldn't be, but the public would be. You know, you could dress up the Potato Man. You know, and they wouldn't. You know.
I'm going to bring in the second part of this interview, or the next bit of it, which I've queued. And this is extraordinary, the fraud.
I'm not that au fait with what's going on in Canada and New Zealand, because I'm putting all my effort into Australia. But I can tell you one other thing. Assuming I am wrong, assuming that the Australian Constitution is valid, we have proof that back in the 1990s, a Governor-General of Australia was appointed by a forged document. And remember this, if the root is poisoned, the fruit is poisoned. What happened was, we got hold of an appointment document for an Australian Governor-General, and we went over and organised a meeting with the UK's Lord Chancellor, who at the time was a gentleman by the name of Baron Falconer. When that document was slid across the desk to him, before it had even stopped sliding, he said, "That's a forgery." We said, no, this actually came from the government printer's office in Canberra. He said, no, that's a forgery, because the royal seal, the design of the royal seal on that document was changed, and this document is dated after the design of the royal seal was changed. Not only that, the royal seal went from the custody of the Foreign Secretary, who at the time was Jack Straw, to me, and I never put the royal seal on that document.
This is the same Jack Straw that blocked investigations of abuse of children and stuff like that in state institutions.
We call him Strawman Jack. We then went and investigated the public record, and we found that the Queen was nowhere near the place specified on the face of the appointment document on the date the appointment document was allegedly signed. Now, we had a good idea, and I don't think that this person did it out of the goodness of their heart. I reckon they got some Australian taxpayers' money put into a bank account somewhere. And if that happened in Australia, and it did, and we can prove it, then it's fair to say that it's probably happened for New Zealand and Canada as well.
Well, it turns out our governor, oh, not our governor general.
I'll just stop that there, but isn't that incredible? Now we've got a new governor general coming in. How do we actually establish whether that document's fraudulent or not? I think it needs to be done.
Well, everything's
well, you know when you walk, walk into a building, and you can notice a few things, like maybe the pipes outside might be a little bit rusty. There might be a crack or something in the roof. There might be a bit of paint peeling, but it's the stuff that's inside the wood, inside the foundations, and all of those kind of things that require real examination before you know whether or not this house is tip-top. And if we're looking at the Houses of Parliament, on the surface level of all those things, you can see, oh, maybe there's actually quite a few things wrong with it. But beneath that, the rot, I swear, must be of biblical proportion. I wonder how many tunnels there are that go in and out of Parliament where they smuggle children in and out of there, kind of thing. And it's also... have you noticed how much younger my voice sounds on that recording, like way back there? It's like, oh, Vinnie, he was so cute back then, you know?
2010, you're telling me that interview was done, Vinnie?
Circa 2010. I can't actually know. I haven't listened to that in over 15 years. Maybe I don't know exactly when it was done.
Wow.
But it sounds like that vintage Vinnie Eastwood.
Okay. Well, that's interesting too, Caz, isn't it? You know, this that's 14 years. This thing's just been laying around.
Why didn't I know about this? Like, this is crazy. I can't believe I didn't know
about it.
All right, so look, we've got the websites here, and also the basic fraud website that this guy thinks. I'm going to put it into the chat now for our people to actually go and read.
Yeah, let's do a deep dive, guys. All right, we're much smarter now, right, than 14 years ago. I've already got a couple of my researchers from Twitter flat out already, so we need a couple of you Facebook or Rumble crew maybe to want to go on a deep dive here, guys, and open this thing up. That's why we're doing the show. It's not just because Vinny's a good-looking bloke and I'm in competition with him. That's got nothing to do with it. All right? It's all about...
that's a side issue.
All right, back to the producer.
I've just popped the basic fraud website into the thing, and I've also put in the PDF document, which is Australia, the Concealed Colony, and it seems to me that he's documented absolutely everything, and we need to like, it's just absolutely mind-blowing. Like, I've known about, you know, the 73 fraud and, you know, the strawman fraud and things like that. But I did not even know about this. It's so basic and it's so simple.
Watch this guy. Within an hour, you'll see on Twitter, he'll start posting the links for the people to dive down. Anthony J. Price. All right, guys, he will be on Twitter very, very soon. And what he's going to do is he's going to throw you the surface stuff for you to go diving down. This is how he works. I've been watching him. Am I correct there, Anthony?
Well, he just went down the rabbit warren.
There you go. Exactly. We got a good crew here, Vinny. They go, mate. They activate. They love this, especially when it's governmental stuff, and they're putting punches into the rib cage, mate. Gets them all fired up.
Yeah. Without troops, the general would be useless.
Okay.
We've got to, there was a thing that I posted the other day, was actually somewhat relevant to that tangent we were taking before. Remember when you first learned how all law was a fiction? that maritime law governs the land when it should only govern ships at sea, that your driver's license that the cops use to give you fines is an account that doesn't apply to living persons, that your birth certificate is a number that is used on the stock exchange to trade you as livestock. Yeah, that was hard to wrap your head around, wasn't it? I don't envy the poor bastards who haven't even heard about that yet, who are going to obtain that knowledge and have to live with it. Tip of the hat to all the teachers and people who stand up for the truth out there. Regardless of what terrible measures are brought down upon you, you stay the course. Each day you do, more and more people are becoming aware. Thanks to you. Salute. And cheers to you guys as well. Stay on the course.
What are we going to do? Pack up our toys and go home? There's nowhere to go. This is home.
Yeah.
Got to clean out the mess. All
Well,
right.
as Gimli, son of Gloin, said, certainty of death, small chance of success.
I like it.
What are we waiting for?
Exactly. Yep. No, we're not waiting for anything, mate. We're all go over here. Stop the rot, sack the lot.org, guys. All right, again, I'm going to push it, get it out there. You're doing great. The traffic flow's, happening. And
it's changing.
And it's changing all the time, guys. All right. The face of the Australian climate is changing all the time, and our website will be changing to suit. So, yeah, don't forget, that's out there. It's to be utilised and get onto. But, yeah, here's a deep dive for a few of you people here. Let's get into it, guys.
Yeah, get
I'm just
into
going to try and find something for to tell Vinny, but anyway, I'll try here.
Oh, that's all right. So, Vinny, after this interview, did you look into New Zealand to see if they were in a similar situation?
Yeah, it applies to both. In fact, I've even seen documents many years ago pertaining to New Zealand actually being what was it, the 7th state of Australia? That the Australian system is actually above ours and governs some of the things we do. It's not a speciality of mine. I mean, what I do is I usually just become aware of things, aware what they mean, and aware of the general scope of them. But when it comes down to really the nitty-gritty details, that's what my guests are for.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot going on out there, and you got the same thing over in New Zealand, but I just want to run this one. Yeah, go.
Sorry, just before you do, there's a point that I watched on a video just the other day is once you've done enough research to know, right, stop researching. That's what this video said, and I was like, wait a second. Yeah. Because then you know, and you can go out and actually start doing things effectively, right? So there's just one of those things, one of those little tools in life is once you know, you don't need to do any more research. Now you need action. So anybody out there, if you've been watching 10,000 hours of stuff and you've figured it out, get yourself into action. Don't just keep watching the shows just to keep yourself feeling validated. I mean, if you need that and you'd commit suicide without it, yeah, watch the shows, absolutely. But if all it's doing is making you feel comfortable that there's somebody out there doing the thing that you should be doing, turn off the shows.
Too right. And we got something here I just want to run past you, but it's about, the trans community, but it also, you could actually, you could change trans community to government, You could change it to just most things, but what it says is, let's put government in there so I'm not hammering the trans community at the moment. We won't get taken down on Facebook. So, dear government, don't tell me I have to accept you for who you are when you couldn't accept yourself for who you are. So that's actually the trans. But the government's the same because the government knows it's non-complicit. The government knows it's fake. You can't tell me these people don't know. It's been slapped in their face enough times. So, again, how can they tell us? You know what I mean?
Oh, well, there's a different dynamic at play here. I remember listening to this speech by Matt King, former member of the National Party of New Zealand, and a number of other former parliamentarians before have actually very much made this apparent to me. The people who are going in there don't have any idea what they're involved in. If they had any idea what they were involved in, they wouldn't have won generally speaking. They wouldn't have been able to get elected because they would have been singled out immediately and made it very, very difficult for them to get elected. This is how much power in New Zealand Parliament has. They're actually preventing rival political parties from advertising on Facebook and YouTube, right? They're preventing them at the last minute from registering their candidates by saying there's one tiny little thing wrong with your application, therefore we're not going to accept the whole thing, right? And that was like, what was it? Ricardo Bossi, the Australia One Party. I was talking to my listener, Alan Mosdale, about this, who does a little podcast, and he was saying that he and 3 of his mates all voted for him.
I ran with him. I ran with him.
And then they looked at the voting results, and in their town there was 0 votes for them, and they're like, our votes didn't count.
That was happening everywhere. No, that was happening everywhere.
I ran in the same group, mate, with Ricardo. I was second on the list, and we had places where I know people voted for me, but here they were a bit smarter in the Illawarra. They did give Group U a few votes, but the majority of the place around, because they knew I'm pretty high profile and I've got a big mouth, but majority of the country, mate, Ricardo and 3 other people, there was 5 of them voted at his home booth, yet he got no votes whatsoever. And this is what went on. Yeah.
So this is the realization of that point, is that politics is no longer about winning, because you physically can't win. Therefore, you should invest as little money and as little effort into it as humanly possible. Why? Because you cannot actually get a result out of politics. That's it. The money and the time that we should be spending is extra political activity. Okay, private members groups and things of that nature being set up to provide each other with services outside of government purview. Doctors who don't need a medical license, because you don't need a medical license to practice on somebody in a private club that you're a member of. All right, there's all these rules and all these doctrines and all these things that the system has in place to prevent you from being free in any way. The more detached we become from that system, the more free we become in every way. And so that is where the interest really needs to be, rather than on the 24-hour news cycle. The New World Order and Agenda 21 was right. Think globally, act locally. And it's also important, particularly we're doing this Trans-Tasman broadcast today, because of the necessity, all right? Necessity. It's not a dream, it's not a want, it's not a hope, it's necessary for the people in the global truth movement who are genuine, who aren't agents, who do have skills, who are reasonably intelligent, to collaborate, put their heads together, try different things, alternate our tactics, build movements that are off the political spectrum and actually operating real in people's lives. That's what we need to be doing. That's the divide and conquer antithesis, is unite and defend.
Yep.
That's it.
That's what we're doing.
We're at 38.
We're going from the ground up, Vinnie, and that's exactly what we're doing. Like you said, think globally, act locally. The UN's own words. We've got to reverse that on them, and we've got to think globally about our friends across the ditch like this, but we've got to act locally, guys, all right? Is Helen Clark the 3rd highest person in the UN now? They say she was the most popular PM New Zealand ever had. Can you comment on that?
She was, and then her popularity was superseded. She was a globalist and a Fabian socialist, Helen Clark was, and then the most popular Prime Minister became the Federal Reserve banker and derivatives trader John Key, and then the most popular person became the Freemason scholarship recipient who studied PR and political science, Jacinda Ardern. And I'm pretty sure that the current former CEO of Deloitte International, who was invited to the World Economic Forum, Chris Luxon, will certainly become our most popular Prime Minister yet.
It's funny because we've actually got our own little WEF situation, like this girl here. This is our e-safety commissioner, Julie Inman Grant. Now, she's the one that actually thinks that Australians should... that she wants to to basically minimise what Australians see on the internet. You know, so this is
Obviously,
who
they
we're
don't
dealing
want.
with as well.
Yeah, obviously, they don't want my head on here talking like I talk, Vinny. I think that would be number one. So you could win this competition of the best looking podcaster out there yet, because they might scrap me.
Well, I do have a face for radio, they say.
Me too.
There's another element here is about accepting who you are. You know, the worst kind of person is the person who takes themselves too seriously, can't ever laugh at their own expense. They're impossible to get along with because they take everything too far, and they're paranoid, and they're angry, and they're always watching out for their reputation and stuff like that. And it's just like, why don't you just have a reputation of being cool, having fun, getting the job fucking done? Right?
Cool.
Is there something unprofessional about that? Is there something that lacks credibility in that approach and what have you? All these people, they've got these tiers of credibility and what have you that they put and cast everybody into without actually looking at the person, without actually looking what they've accomplished, without actually talking to them to find out whether or not they just want to chuck them overboard with the rest of the trash that they throw out every day when they hear it on the radio, right? That's the thing. We've become too judgmental, and we've become too unappreciative of the differences of human expression in this planet. The amount of people that are out there who are severely talented, very good people, who are very capable of what they do, who don't get appreciated enough for what they do, is, I think, maybe at record levels.
Okay, so let's answer a question, and that is, I'm going to add to it, but number one is that Dern, was she a Mormon? And number two, is she really got kahunas?
She was a Mormon. The question about whether or not she has testicles is actually a part of a song that I did. Jacinda, New Zealand's Joseph Mengele. She wants to stick that jab in your arm. Jacinda, balls bigger than her teeth are. It's such a shame we let it go on. All right, so now, whether or not it is a fact or whatever, if you look at her shoulders, they're small like a woman's shoulders. Like you can even see right now, Guru, just sit up straight with your shoulders out, and you too, and you'll be able to see that you could fit one of Guru's heads on each of his shoulders. Okay, whereas with you can only fit about maybe half your head on either one of your shoulders. Okay, the broad shoulders. That's the masculine frame. Jacinda Ardern doesn't have that. So I wouldn't think necessarily until I'd really seen proof and what have you. All I saw was this one video, and we've never seen anything else to corroborate it or something going on. It might have been a medical bag of some description so that she could get the Satanism out of her vagina that day. We don't know. We just don't know. And the concept is quite funny, and it's quite risque, so we often want to talk about it and confirm whether or not it is. But what it does is it makes the whole conversation very lowbrow. Now, whether or not she's a Mormon, she used to be. However, because she is very supportive of the trans and queer community, she left the church, according to her own words. Now, I incidentally ran into a person who runs a boutique hotel in Hamilton, very near to where the Freemason Lodge is. And she actually knew the Freemason who gave Jacinda Ardern that scholarship that got her into Waikato University, and said that he very much regretted it, right? And we asked her, do you have any adrenochrome? And she was like, no, we don't have any of that. And I was like, you call this a boutique hotel? So that's the end of that story. I mean, has she got dual citizenship? I don't know, but I would certainly like to challenge her to a duel. that was another thing. Some people like say that she's ugly and whatnot like that. And while I agree in terms of the ugliness of people, she's a very ugly person. But let's say she was a completely different person. Let's say you met this girl, Cindy, and she's at a club, she's a DJ, you know, she used to work in England for some kind of scumbaggery entity and then blew the whistle on him and has tried to speak out, and now the only things that she could do was work as a DJ when she used to be working 200K a year, you know. And you're talking to her and she's kind of bubbly and she's got this great smile, and the question is now, is Jacinda Ardern still that ugly if she was this different person? And the answer is, you still can't get past the teeth, bro.
Okay.
All right, Vinny. We're at 45. We like to keep these ones short. So,
yeah, to get on
what's
Instagram, it's got to be under an hour, actually. Yeah. So,
Vinny, final words.
Well, it's a brimful of Asher on the 45, as far as I know, and mine's on the 45. So, in terms of Vinnie Eastwood, you know, and the Vinnie Eastwood show and what have you, you see, we believe that something needs to be done about this Eastwood problem.
Yes, I believe it might be necessary to penetrate the Vinnie Eastwood show.
Oh, I believe that I've been developing a Vinnie scene. I think that could do the exact kind of penetrating that you could be hoping for, Klaus.
The Vinnie Eastwood Show, Sundays at 5 p.m. EST, only on groundzero.radio.
It's just... There's a little ad that I'm working on here. I might actually clip that out and use it to save me some time, the effort and what have you. Well, this is another thing. Humour, okay? Have you ever listened to an ad before? Of course you have. And they're all freaking boring, right? Apart from the ads you remember that are actually quite funny, right? There's something in that. Humour was used during the ancient Greek debates in their democracy as a way of breaking up these long, otherwise arduous, boring speeches that we know today as debates in Parliament. And now this art form of saying something very serious, but not taking it too seriously, to get people to have a laugh, to give their brain a little bit of a time to relax for a second, so that it can continue concentrating and thinking. The whole idea nowadays is to talk as boring as possible, as long as possible, so that you get as bored as freaking possible, so that your brain switches off and you stop paying attention, you stop learning. This is a cult indoctrination technique. If somebody is boring, they might be doing it on purpose just to brainwash you. It's important to remember that shit.
Yep. Too right, mate. Good
All right,
work,
Dave, you close the show.
Yeah, let's just keep it under the where we got to be, cazz, for the downloads and that. But yeah, guys, look, you know, we're gonna go searching. We'll give you the rabbit holes, guys. Let's go looking. Let's come back and we can discuss this a bit further tonight on Twitter. Okay, on the space about this thing. We can bring in a bit of the clip. But look, thanks, Vinny, for coming on, mate. Great to talk to you. We got to do this more often. And have a great time over there in New Zealand. Kicking the shit out of this deep state, mate. We're with you.
Well, thank you very much, ladies, gentlemen, and hermaphrodites, my fellow slaves of the global plantation. The Vinnie Eastwood Show is bad news. It's like the news, but so much worse. It's the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinnie Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists is Vinnie's jokes.
Love it, Vinny. See you, brother.